Hello, you're watching Costume Confidential. I'm your host, Mona May. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Malgosia Turzanska to discuss her spectacular costume design and concept for the beautiful film Hamnet. Malgosia, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry, bardzo miło. This is so cool that we are both Polish and can speak a little bit Polish, but I think for everybody's sakes, we'll do it in English, the interview. I'm just so excited to have you here because I went to see the movie the other night and I cried so hard. I haven't cried in a movie for such a long time. It was so moving. It was like a poetry to me. I mean, the music was so beautiful. Your costumes were so beautiful. I mean, the director just put something together just so poetic. I don't even know how to say it any other way. And so emotionally beautiful. And your costumes just really told the story in such an emotional way with the color and the texture. I would love to know more. Number one, how do you even get the job? How did you meet the director, Chloe, who is, her work is so incredible.
First of all, thank you for like being opening yourself up to the movie and letting it hurt you for a while. It takes a lot to let it take you on that journey. It was honestly just a singular experience for me. It was just the way Chloe picked the team and how we worked together. It was just an unbelievable group of people. And also Łukasz Zhao, the DP, another Polish.
Did you know him before or?
Never.
Oh, wow. The production designer was?
Fiona Crombie, who is unbelievable, has this incredible quiet power about her that I absolutely adore. And both of them so talented. And what happened was Chloe, at the very, very beginning of, like, before we started prep, she sent each of us the lookbooks, the like emotional response that we did. So I got Łukasz's and Fiona's, they got mine, and we kind of could see where our initial response was. And it turned out that we were very much from the beginning responding in the same way and seeing the world in a very, very similar way, which was both eerie and, we were so happy. And so we started kind of from the same place and then kept growing together. So it was a very organic collaboration. And I think you can see it in the movie.
Oh my goodness, completely. Everything is seamless, truly and seamless. And how does the director, how does Chloe express to you what she kind of is looking for? What was it? Like, what were your cues?
We talked all the time. Sometimes costume designers get put, or a costume department gets put away in a distant location, and, you have to drive for an hour to get to the other offices. Here we were very lucky. We were all in the same place, and we kept going into each other's offices and seeing what is on your wall, what is on my wall. I have a new swatch, I have a new idea, just that we were growing together. And Chloe was so connected to the script and to the story more than the script, actually, just like very, very grown into it. And so every now and then in the morning or in the middle of the night, Fiona and I would get these voicemails being like, guys, I was thinking about it. And because she was like constantly processing it. She was like, what if we did this thing? And what if we did that thing? And, like the first time it happened, my team was like, oh, is this going to be one of those? But then the thing is, every single time she had that last minute thought, was correct. It brought so much more into the movie.
Did she have this kind of poetic view right away when you came in? And
yeah, I think it was, she was just, she was making sure that the story was, that the characters were real and it was their story rather than, taking care of the historical aspect of it. It was very kind of emotional and personal. One of the scenes that happened super last minute is one of my favorites in the movie. It's when the kids are dressed up as witches and are doing their little play. This happened literally in hours. It was a surprise for Jessie. Jessie had no idea what was happening. So when Will takes his hands off her eyes, this was Her
Oh,
response was
wow.
real.
That's
And
great.
so I was running around, our department, and the art department, as the kids would, finding items that they could put on themselves. And I have photos of myself in all those baskets and little things, putting things on my head, just like, can this work? Can this work? And so this was so fun and so joyful. And then, it's there and it's so, so beautiful. And
So
so, like,
sweet. It's so
especially
sweet.
in a movie that has so much pain in
Yeah.
it, these
Yeah.
little light moments, it just like makes it,
I love
makes
it.
it pop.
I love it. I love it. I mean, no, the process is always so interesting. And I think on this movie, seemed like it was kind of out of the box in a sense, the way that, you approach things. And you come from fine art, right? Or what did
No,
you,
no, no,
no,
no.
or,
Yeah.
but you didn't study costume design or you did,
I
or,
studied costume design.
okay,
I started with cultural anthropology and history of
okay.
art, but
Oh,
I just did a
interesting.
year here and there, and then I went to Prague to do costume and sets,
Oh,
and
okay.
then moved
Okay. I
to
love it.
NYU.
Oh,
Um,
okay, I love it because I love the way that you paint your sketches. It's so beautiful. It's very different kind of than most sketches that you see. Costume sketches. They have so much depth and kind of character in it. So how do you approach when you start, drawing and seeing the characters in your mind?
So I try to make sure that I understand what is inside of them first, and then that I
Mhm.
build it outside from their interiority. And so for Jesse's character, for Anya's, it was, I didn't realize it at the time, but now I see that I saw her kind of as Will sees her for the first time,
Uh-huh.
that she
Uh-huh.
is, she was this like ball of like vibrancy that when he sees her, he just like cannot look away. And that there's both a sense of danger to her, and this like mesmerizing
It's like another creature from another, I mean, truly a forest creature.
exactly. And for a moment, I was like, well, should she be like somehow more connected in colors to the forest? But then I ended up kind of making her more into a berry. And it's like, well, could be a poisonous berry, or it could be a healing berry. It's like if you know what you're playing with, it will heal you. But if you don't, it could poison you. And that one we shot at, it was one of the first days that we shot. And I was just like, oh my God, Jessie is so incredible. And she was barefoot and she just like,
Wow.
rammed in the leaves, and she's just absolutely fearless, and a creature, just a creature.
You
um,
feel it. I mean, you really feel it, So I think it was
Absolutely.
interesting, probably when you also met her, right? And kind of all of your ideas and her way. I mean, I was mesmerized truly, through the whole movie. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting to probably have her in a fitting
Oh,
and kind of,
yeah.
work with that. And how did you choose the colors? I mean, you said the berries, but also the red, kind of that orange,
Yeah.
burnt orange was so
So it was
beautiful.
very, and we talked about it with Chloe as well. It was, because she is such a strong feminine, like she like represents womanhood and motherhood, and so we looked at blood actually a lot. And so when she starts, she's this very vibrant blood. Then it changes into a slightly more rusty, a little bit like orangey around the edges. A little more like brick reddish. And then as she's going through Hamnet's death, she turns into this dried scab, this like grayish, purplish dried scab. So it was,
Also brown, right? Kind of like the dead brown. It was very interesting to me
yeah,
too to
yeah.
see.
It's like
Yeah, yeah.
loss of that vibrancy. And then at the very end, we have a little bit more blood pumping through her veins.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of like the
Yeah,
deep red, almost a little bit burgundy tone when she's
exactly.
at the
Yeah,
play. Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful,
But
beautiful.
I saw it just reading the book first. I just like immediately
Mhm.
was drawn to the red. And then Jessie very early on she sent music, she sent some images that she was responding to.
Oh,
There
cool.
was a dancer, I'm now blanking on her name. It's her friend who's a dancer who was in the forest in this, and it was like the forest was actually in the fall. So it was the forest was brown, like reddish brown, but she was in this like striking red dress just dancing in the woods. And it was like, it is like, I was so happy that we both
Wow. So you were connected,
agreed.
completely
Yeah.
connected,
And then
the full
Łukash, when
circle.
he saw it, he was like, "This is the red. This is the red." I was
Wow. That's so great. Oh my
just
God,
like,
I
"Don't
love
touch it. Just go with it."
it. So beautiful when that happened. My God! And I heard you talking also about the material that first dress was made of a bark material, or
Yes. So the bodice was from Uganda.
oh
And so
wow,
it's this like fibrous texture that is, they peel the bark of a tree, and then underneath the bark, there's this like fibrous texture. It's soft, it's very organic. There is, we backed it with linen.
so
It's
it has like little hairs almost, or
Yeah,
like
it's like
yeah,
little
okay,
fibers that are
cool,
intertwined. Yeah. And
cool.
it's, sometimes it comes apart and there's, you see light through it, and sometimes it's thicker. And such a magical thing,
Wow,
and it definitely like breathed and moved with her. And so we had to, um, we had to stitch it up together as it
of
was like coming
course.
apart in places.
Beautiful. Wow. It's fuzzy, but I thought it would be a little bit more open, and it's pretty
In
tight with it.
places, it is. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so we picked that were thicker just to make sure that it could survive. But when
Right.
you get it in, in larger pieces, you kind of have to pick what weight of it you can use, and so that's why it's like pieced together. But it goes from very thin to thicker, because it's just like however it grows around the tree. So it is just a beautiful organic thing. I forget what paint we were using, but yeah, it is just like the surface is treated.
Right. And it didn't really affect the fuzziness, which is
No,
nice.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
And this ended up being the bodice of the dress that we see in London at the end.
Okay.
And when she is pregnant with the twins, when she's this giant red egg, when
Uh-huh.
she's up. So this is the sample of those little currents kind of sneaking in underneath.
Beautiful.
Just this life, this like pulsing thing underneath.
Wow. Again, having something so organic and kind of truly, reminding you of nature and reminding you of the currents and things. It's just so many layers of that emotional stuff that I think we
Yeah.
as humans clock it. Our eye does. There's like that information that we don't even know truly.
Yeah, exactly. I was really inspired by Magdalena Abakanowicz, actually, and her textile, giant textile pieces.
And this is great. Tell me, this is you just adjusting
Yeah,
her dress, or
this was so actually this is when we were shooting the hawk scene, I think, and we tried this fake arm to have the hawk land on her bare arm. It didn't really work, so then we abandoned it. But so we had to make a sleeve that had like two exits, for the fake
right.
arm and the real arm. But it did not
So
end up being in the
did it
movie.
land on her real arm?
She had a glove, so it
Oh, she
landed on
had
the glove.
that big glove. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
cool too. I love
yeah,
that glove. That was like her mother glove, right? That was very
exactly.
cool as
Yeah.
well. Like,
But
what was the glove? Was something you found, or that was
Well, no, we
existing?
made it. Our amazing leather workers made it, and we had actually it was a. I should add a photo of that. We had so many dogs in my department. They were all amazing, and there
Yeah.
was Tamsin Lily White's dog Olive,
Uh-huh.
was the main ager for that glove. She just went her,
Yay.
made it
True
look
element, true
antique.
animal. I love it.
I had a phenomenal team, and they were
Where
just.
were you? Were you in London, in England?
Yes, we
Or?
were in
Oh,
London. We
beautiful.
we shot partially like just outside of Wales. We did a
Oh,
little bit.
beautiful.
I think we did 3 weeks on location, and then a few days in London. But the rest of it, the globe and the house was built in the studio at Elstree. Yeah,
I mean, the lighting was just incredible. I mean, the way that he lights is I mean,
he's
his, zone
brilliant.
of interest. I mean, Cold War,
Yeah,
Ida, he's a master, truly a master. And, it's so interesting because I think the setting of the mood by the DP and, how do they like the clothes too is so important, like those shadows and things that
yeah.
you can create with the aging and then, the vibrancy of color. I mean, you guys were so in sync, truly,
And it
and
was actually amazing because, we talked about things all the time, and he saw the swatches and all and saw the fitting photos. But then once we had a camera test, he came to our office and he just like kept talking and talking and talking. He was so
oh,
excited because
oh.
suddenly he saw it as he sees it,
Yes, yes.
through the camera, which is his eye, and just like got what we were doing. And it was I was so happy.
It's truly something that you don't forget, those kind of connections, and it stays in your heart.
Absolutely agree. And this was a hard movie to make because of the emotional content, but everyone was so on one page and like going through the grief together that it really, I will truly never forget it. But Jesse even said, you know what, if we put everyone together for another movie, even if we had the same team, there's no telling if we would recreate that magic, because it was truly
Yeah.
something happened.
Right.
It was
Right. Something truly, because it's so apparent, because when I was watching it, I felt the trees moving. I mean, the music was everything too. All the layers, and kind of eerie at times, and beautiful and soothing at other times. For me also was very interesting how you approached the period of the costumes too. It was unusual in a way, and I think very right on. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you make that decision?
So it came from the early conversations with Chloe. She was like, we're not making a museum piece. We're not making a
Great,
historical
great.
recreation. And dealing with, with historical figures, there's so much baggage with all the images.
And we've seen it all too,
Exactly.
just kind of indentated with the same
Yeah.
stuff, and I think the period is so far back too. I mean, what is true, and what the paintings you see maybe is just a certain kind of clothing that you see.
Yeah. I realized that the images of Shakespeare that we know were also made after his death. So it was like, well, that was kind of freeing, So we kept the earring and then we made our own way.
It's interesting the color you used for him, and you didn't change him much, which was interesting.
Yeah, he goes lighter towards the end, but it was, just to the research part, I wanted to make sure that I knew as much as I could about the period, just so I knew where I'm breaking the rules.
Of course.
And there's the paintings and all, which a lot of the portraits you see the pieces, but you don't see them move because they're so, especially from that era, everyone is so stiff in the portraits.
And also seems like they would be more like dressier, because everybody's making a portrait, so it's not kind of everyday clothing, which I really miss in period movies. I find it very museum like a lot of times, and not kind of real. So this was beautiful, and I think the layers that you did, and kind of that steel blue, was that a certain color that you chose for?
Yeah, there was. So I started with the Shakespeare household, which, working with Fiona, the house itself is very monochromatic. It's very stern. There's like a darkness to it, and because they live with this abusive father who, you never know where the blow is going to come from.
Right.
So I was thinking about them as a family, how they protect themselves.
Right.
And so one way was to kind of blend into the walls a little bit. So the family is very like grayscale. And then Will is a little bit breaks out of that, but has a little bit of the greens and blues in his costumes. And for me, that came from his connection to the river. So there is that wateriness, and so that's how the color came to be. But honestly, also I found this greenish grayish scratched, like laser scratched leather, and I kind of explained that to myself as a again, coming from the abusive father. He wears a toothpick on his necklace, which was one of, like, it came from the research. And so I imagined him just like picking at him, meanly, just so that was from that. And then it grew as he is, there's a scene where he says, I'm scared, I'm turning into my father, I'm becoming, I'm violent like my father. Right. And when we see him, then he has this like thicker shell of a doublet with the Elizabethan pinking and slashing the little wounds that then grow into these gashes. And the quilting on the doublet is very irregular, so it is more organic. And actually, it goes back again to his household and what I was talking about, that they're living with this abusive person, and kind of hiding. But here, for the rest of the family, I wanted to create a little bit of a cushioning. So they were all protecting, especially from the mother who had, there's a number of children in the house. all of them are slightly padded, as if she was trying to make sure that, if the
Nice,
father
nice,
strikes a blow, there's a.
nice,
So I
nice.
actually looked at sports, at like vintage sports equipment, like baseball stuff.
Or fencing, even kind of,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Fencing
Yeah.
vests and stuff like that. Yeah, very cool. And you know what I love? I love that you rolled up the sleeve. I don't know, but that was just so cool and kind of sexy.
Yes.
What did you like? Tell me about it. I mean, it's so
So
cool.
So it was one of the because I was looking at a lot of paintings, and I found this painter, or not I found that there is there is a painter called Sebastian Frank, who he painted these incredible scenes, very violent usually, and very dynamic, and had people very opposite of the stiff poised portraits. They're
Uh-huh,
like in
uh-huh,
action, they're falling
uh-huh.
down, they're being, stabbed and wounded, and it's very violent. But a lot of them had, the clothing looked very real, and they had rolled up sleeves, or pants that were open, or you saw that like someone's socks would fall down, roll down.
Great,
So it was,
great.
I just kept capturing those, and I had a folder on my desktop called interesting characters, and just kept, and then
Great.
used some of the shapes on Paul, and then also at the globe, kind of as an example of the people that we could see around.
Right.
And yeah, this is the quilting. This is the
Beautiful.
quilting, slightly irregular, almost like a Japanese representation of water, like
Hmm.
a Japanese woodcut.
He did go to London, right? And I mean, he became very rich. He bought the big house for the wife and kind of became a landlord in a way. But then he lived in London, just in a very small room. And it was interesting to me that you also didn't show his wealth in the clothes. That was a very cool move, I think, in a way, because when he was coming back, he was always the same guy. He didn't become the landlord or the rich man in a sense. Because that connection felt like they always had that connection. It was still them.
And I have to credit Paul with that, actually, because he was like, I just want to make sure that the story is not about him getting rich and famous. Like he said it at one of the first fittings, and he's so right.
It just was so incredible. I just love the approach of everything that you've done that was strong but quiet at the same time. I mean, it was like, there was like that sadness, but also, elevation of the spirit at the same time. It's kind of going back and forth. It's pulling you in and pushing you up. And it's just like all the colors that you used, and the tempo was really beautiful too of everything I found, just kind of, there was nothing in your face at all. Um, how do you find it? I mean, it's a very interesting, I think as a costume designer, we have to think of this whole journey, of the movie and the characters and what's happening and the lighting and where do we end up and what is it? How that does the emotion, the story get told throughout?
So it helped, with these two actors, specifically the two actors, Paul and Jesse. And like starting with Jesse, she was so connected to the character, and so she so understood the like emotional truth of her, that whenever we tried something on that didn't quite work, it was just immediately like, oh, this is not, like we knew. Yeah. And it wasn't about being pretty or attractive. It was just about being true and like real for her. And so Jessie was incredible to her. I mean, both of them.
Yeah, but the femininity,
Yeah.
I mean, this vulnerability of her and the femininity. I mean, I'm just mesmerized by her through the whole movie. Her face, her eyes, her everything. I mean, I really, truly, in a long time, haven't seen a performance like
Yeah.
that.
And I
So
think,
true. Like what you're saying, it's so just true. It's out. Your soul is out. She's out. I mean, it's all out there. So the costumes, I think it was a hard road in a way, like you said, to really never go somewhere where it's not going to be the truth. It's so
yeah.
interesting. And then with him too, to really, you never lost the hope that the love is always there. And I think that was really beautiful.
It's just like when they first see each other, it's almost like they suddenly see so clearly and see each other so clearly, that they don't see anything else. And then gradually, for whatever reason, they stopped seeing each other. There's so many things in the way, like like their vision of each other gets cloudy until that very last moment. And I love the story. I love this movie. So
It's it's a love story. It's such a
yeah.
beautiful love story.
And I have to say that while we were shooting this, my dad passed away.
Oh my God, I'm
And
so sorry.
thank you. And it was I cannot imagine being on another movie or not, or not being there, because first of all, I was closer to Poland, so I could go back and forth and, be with my mom and see him at the end. But also because we truly were processing grief in the film while filming, this helped me so much to kind of it taught me what to do with my own grief, and I'm sure my own grief informed what I was doing there, so it's exceptional. I'm so lucky and so grateful to have worked on it.
It's interesting how we sometimes get the right movies, like where we are in life too. I find it too where I am, and kind of, is it a happy moment or, an intense moment, and the people that we get put together in that moment in life, it's so fantastic. I think as an artist, we always grow.
And this is, we see Shakespeare obviously process his grief through art. And I feel like this is exactly what we do, both as artists and as audience of both movies and art. Anything that you let break you a little bit or enter you that way is, it's letting you process things and heal, and it's just an exceptional thing that we as humans have, to be able to be affected by art.
Tell me about the cloak, the white cloak.
So the whole globe play was at the very end, which is thank you to scheduling gods, because what it meant was we could fit all the background performers throughout the shoot of the rest of the movie, because we had 350 people there in the globe. We kept making things for them. It was, we used a lot of rentals obviously, but like we made some coifs and some partlets and some bags, and just made sure that they, it worked as a whole. That they were like,
and color palette too. You're always working with the color palette, so that was beautiful too. Yeah,
exactly. And same with the players. By the time we got to them, all the other costumes were made, so we had a moment to like actually go and focus on this. And it felt, my whole team kept saying that it felt like a school play for end of the year, that suddenly we're switching gears, doing something completely different, and it was so fun. And so, starting from the research part, I knew we were not going to be faithful to the period here, because in Shakespeare time, the people, the audience and the players on the stage looked basically the same, which helped the audience kind of see themselves in the characters. So they wore regular Elizabethan clothing.
Okay.
And for us as we're already like hundreds of years removed, us as a modern audience, that doesn't necessarily work. So I thought there should be like some sort of an abstract aspect to it, just to like separate it a little bit from the period and put it between us and that period. And so we built them in period shapes. We built them out of raw linen, and then I just painted them. And so with just like flat latex paint, which was a lot of fun, but also it was terrifying. For the wig of both Ophelia and Gertrude, we used flax, which I've never worked with as a, just, pre-linen.
Right.
And it was so cool. And so the wigs are made of that. They smelled so bad. It was awful. They looked so cool.
What did you do?
We put essential oils inside, just like kept spraying them with like essential oils.
That's so crazy.
But it was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah, it looks beautiful. I mean, it truly does. It's
thank you.
Again, all your textures. I think you really beautifully, design things where there's just so much depth in all of your costumes. It's so pretty, and again, choosing the right tones, either the forest tones, or is it, where are we, and the emotion coming through it is so beautiful.
And here we worked very closely with Fiona with the painted aspect of it, the painted backdrop, and everything is talking to each other. And then the ghost costume, it's my favorite costume of the movie, and it was also the one that came last, and I was so scared that I wouldn't get it. I was like, just keep pushing it away and away and away, and I was like, we have time, we have time. And I just didn't want to hit a false note, and it came kind of from several different things. He is portrayed as a ghost. There's some sort of a ghostiness to him, or he's wearing armor. First of all, I was like, where does the ghost as a sheet on someone's head, where does that come from? And of course, it's from the fact that people were being wrapped in a shroud, and then as they got up, there's portrayals of people rising from the dead. There's kind of broken down sheets clinging onto the skeletons in like medieval imagery, and so I wanted to get the sheet into it, but like without making it look stupid,
Right.
Like it would not hit the right note there.
And again, textures.
Yeah, exactly. And so I found this image, and I actually found it very early on, and I didn't know why I was attracted to it. It was a sculpture, like an installation piece that had a lot of cracked clay on it, and I didn't know what it meant, and I just had it in the background somewhere. And when I was showing Chloe other sketches, she saw that photo, and she was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Okay, so I'm not the only one that like is feeling this." And so I just started digging into it, and then we started making tests of just clay and mud on different fabrics and cracking them, and it is just linen with clay and a little bit of glue, and cracked it, and luckily it it's survived on him, because I was also.
So did you put paint into it so it's white?
No, it's just clay. Yeah, it's just
clay. Oh wow,
yeah,
it's beautiful. Yeah. Wow, that's a beautiful color, kind of chalky. I love that kind of madness of that too. It was really. Wow.
And then Nicole Stafford, our hair and makeup designer, she picked a similar clay, but kind of face safe, to put on his face, which we see him putting it on and then finally washing it off. And then also playing on that, his memory of Hamnet, the way we costumed Hamlet in the play was, I imagined that it was Will's memory of Hamnet and what he wore and what he looked like. And so it's similar colors, but it's just that raw linen painted. And then his hair, the actor's hair, is painted blonde too.
Yes, it was
also
beautiful.
with that clay thick paint hair.
Yeah,
which I was so excited about that. It was Nicole's idea, and it was just so brilliant. And also, Hamnet and Hamlet are played by real life brothers, which also added another layer of something that was just magical. Right. Wow. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it just everything, every layer adds to the emotional kind of experience of things. And this was great ending. I mean, truly just such a, with her, just that emotion that she had, seeing it and just kind of understanding his pain. Wow, truly. I love
the, how incredible the background actors were in this, because they're surrounding her, this powerhouse of an actor, and they were there with her, and they like cried, and their faces.
Yes.
Like the moment when they reach out towards Hamlet, I'm still
right. Yeah. Oh, truly. Wow. It's
and I have to say, there was, because we were in this heavy dark place a lot, and everyone felt it, and everyone went through it together. But she figured out this beautiful way to help people get out of it. So at the end of each week, especially the heavy hard week, the camera would keep rolling, and suddenly dance music would come on, and people would Hamnet gets up.
You mean that's Chloe, the director?
And everyone starts dancing, and you have all the actors and all the crew just kind of, and you got to shake it off, just process it. Amazing. And the most amazing one was at the Globe. When we finished at the Globe, suddenly Rihanna came on, and all of these extras, all the crew just went crazy. And it was such an incredible moment. Jumping on the, like, all of the crew was on the stage, and the actors, the background actors, in the pit of the globe, and the AD asked Fiona, like, is this safe, like, are we, because everyone is like jumping on the
Right.
stage, dozens of people. It was just so incredible.
Oh my God.
you know
It's so amazing to have a fearless leader as a director. It's
truly,
just so
truly.
truly amazing to also understand the process for everybody else and guides you in such a way. And, putting people together, like what you said at the beginning, Wukash and, I mean, Max, the composer, Fiona, the production designer. It's magic. I mean, it really is magic.
it,
I'm
I'm
so
so
impressed because it's so rare these days. There's just so much budget cuts, and everybody's just saying faster. And to have the time to develop. I mean, whatever dyes you use. Did you use natural dyes or what? It's like
we did tests with natural dyes. For Anya's, we ended up not using natural dyes because it was
okay.
so, like, precise.
Mhm.
But we dyed some bits with it's called iron oak gall ink, which is the ink that Shakespeare actually used, which I had no idea this was a thing. He made his own ink, and
Oh,
it's
okay.
these, like, blemishes that are created, I think, by wasps on oak trees. There's like a ball attached to the
Whoa,
tree.
whoa.
There's a liquid inside it, and they would mix, or he would mix, rusty nails into that and create this inky black thing. And so
Crazy.
we did tests on that, and so the grayscale of some of Will's clothing is based on that. But my favorite, like the most shocking thing to me, was weld, which I didn't know this as a dye. It's a plant, looks very innocent, and it produced this incredibly violent yellow, like it's like acid yellow. And we had,
So
and
like lime, kind of lime yellow, or what's
like
acid? What do you
bile,
mean?
honestly. It's like, it's
Wow,
almost neon. And
wow.
we had it. I was sure this was going to get cut because it was just like made your eyes hurt. And we had it. It's a tiny moment, but we had it on the stepmother's character.
Okay.
She has some pinks, some greens, which is the greens was weld and indigo, and the pink was I'm now blanking. Not woad. What was it? I don't remember. But it was because she had a smaller role, less multiple. I mean, we didn't have multiple, so
Right,
we could,
right, right.
we could have those colors in there. But it was, I can't wait to use it again because it was
I want
so,
to know more about it. Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. So how many multiples did you have to make? I mean,
We,
did you have a lot of stunts
not a
or
lot,
not
no.
really, but
We
just,
really, yeah, it wasn't much. It was, I think most of the stuff we had two or three.
okay.
Mostly two, actually.
Hmm.
The bark cloth bodice for Agnes, we had two. Yeah, mostly it was two, just kind of for, rather than for stunts and all, it was just for, like,
Good. Just in case. Yeah. Because I mean, there was also, such organic
yeah.
materials as well.
But it was just such a joy. Like, truly, it was just such a joy to I had, what you mentioned is like time and to have the resources. I truly have to say it wasn't a huge budget. It wasn't like a giant budget. We had everything we needed. Like, I had brilliant people, and yes, we had to work hard. It wasn't, wasn't. But we shot it in England, which means shooting 10-hour days with a lunch break. I I finished that movie and I was like, What is happening? I am not dead. I am what happened?" It was unbelievable.
I
And
love
also
it.
my team, we had a calendar and they had, like, oh, I have a wedding, I have a music
Yeah.
festival.
Yeah.
Had, like, they weren't there all the time. Everyone had a life, which was
Yeah.
exceptional.
Yeah.
And I hope we can bring more of that to the US, because it, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
truly, we made this incredible movie We went over, I think, one time by 8 minutes, and usually we finished early. So
Unbelievable.
it's possible.
Wow. Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, and having a great team and having the support of the director in the studio, just I think it's like having your back. You can kind of relax and know that you're gonna, you can go and speak to someone. Okay, this is what I need. This is what's happening, and that kind of support, I think, it's so important in our creative process because there's so much stress these days, and it's hard. It's like hard to, get yourself immersed in this world that we have to kind of pour out of our hearts. And I think your work is so brilliant here. I'm just so impressed by really the artistry and the storytelling that you have that's so emotional. It's really beautiful. And I think people are just going to freak out when they see the movie. And I think that your work is going to truly shine. It shines already. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Malgosia, you're a true artist. And I'm so great to meet you and hope we can hang out again and talk some more about art and all the best. And I hope that you have a great opening night.
Thank you so much. Truly an honor to speak to you. And let's please do it again.
Yes.
And yeah, love the Polish connection.
Yes.
And congratulations on the Clueless anniversary and the book. Fantastic.
Thank you, darling. Thank you so much. Okay. Take care. Bye.